Let's turn to our liturgy and wind down in our study tonight. I won't wax long, but I will use this liturgy 2 times in a row. What we're going to be looking at by way of liturgy is Deuteronomy 34 verses, verses 10 through 12, and then Genesis verses 1 through 3. We've read this in the past. What we do during this time of year is cycle our Torah scrolls over from Genesis back around again to Deuteronomy, let's say that one more time. We cycle our Torah scroll from Deuteronomy back around over to Genesis. We flip the Bible from one end to the other. For a Torah scroll, this would involve re-rolling it from Deuteronomy all the way back over to Genesis, which takes quite a while because you don't want to damage the scroll, especially if it's an ancient scroll. Precious thing. So we're going to kind of imitate that quality in our liturgy. Let me read Deuteronomy 34, the last 3 verses, and I'll flip my Bible over and read Genesis, the first 3 verses for us in our liturgy. I'm only going to read the English tonight. Next week I'll pick up the Hebrew and of the same sections. And then we are going to read a passage out of Ephesians for the Greek part. Not the Greek tonight, but you guys understand. So Deuteronomy 34, starting right there on that side of the screen. For those of you who are with me in a live class, you can see my screen. Deuteronomy 34, starting verse 10, and there has not arisen a prophet since in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Verse 11, none like him for all the signs and the wonders that the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and all his servants and to all his land. And verse 12, and for all the mighty power and all the great deeds of terror that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. And that's it for Deuteronomy. Let's turn immediately over to Genesis and read the first 3 verses right there. Starting right there, for those of you who are with me in the live class. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, verse 1. Verse 2, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Verse 2. And verse 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. That'll do it for our reading from the Tanakh, from the Old Testament. Let's turn to the Apostolic Scriptures and read those verses that we studied in the Romans study, where we looked at Ephesians 2, verses 18, 19, and how far do I want to go? Used to probably starting in verse 14 and working our way down through verse 16. Let's start right there. We might read, let's read those 3, 14, 15, 16. So starting right there on that side of the page, Ephesians 2:14, for he himself is our peace, who's made us both one and has broken down in his flesh the dividing wall of hostility. Verse 15, by abolishing the law of commandments expressed in ordinances, that he might create in himself one new man in place of the 2, so making peace. And verse 16, and might reconcile us both to God in one body through the cross, thereby killing the hostility. And that'll do it for our liturgy for tonight.